Now just sweeping out the shop. We're gonna get the grain head in here and the S660 combine, and we're gonna start putting a new knife in it, getting it ready for fall harvest. I'm just sweeping up the floor so we can get it dirty again. And then I already got the grain head hooked up to the 4010 there. Looks pretty good. Like the last couple years, we don't wash it in the fall, which we try to be pretty good about, keeping our stuff clean, and especially if we're putting it away for the year. But it seems like the grain head has been getting neglected the past couple of years, to where when we're done using it, we're hurrying up, hooking on the corn head, and just throwing the grain head in the shed. And then at that point, when corn harvest is done, it's getting pretty cold out, and we're trying to go do tile jobs and put pipe in the ground. So then we kind of just forget about it. And yeah, so the grain head's still kind of dirty from last year. We did blow it off and stuff, but I just blew it off again while it's sitting out in the driveway. For right now, I'll probably just sneak it in the shed here and then hook it on the combine inside of here. The grain head is wider than the door, so we have to kind of back it in the shed and hook onto it inside the shed. We can't just hook it on the combine out in the driveway and pull in. We don't have any wheat in the ground this year, so we're not in a huge hurry. You know, we've got a couple of months yet. We're gonna use the forklift to try to push the grain head in. That's got a little bit better maneuverability than the 4010 to sneak it in there. Once we get the combine in the barn, hooked on the grain head, we gotta put field view, or we're gonna be using field view for the first time this harvest. So we gotta figure out how to mount an iPad in there, and we've never put a CB radio or anything in here yet. Since the last video I did on the combine, it's pretty much just been sitting here ever since then. I haven't really touched it. So we're gonna get it hooked up for the first time, and then yeah, kind of go through this, double check everything, and like I said, just kind of pick on little things here and there. As far as I know, oil change and stuff, as far as all that stuff goes, it should be ready to rock and roll as it sits. I think the dealer already did all that before we bought it. They kind of went through everything and did a whole inspection on it, so all that stuff should be ready to go. It's more so just getting the iPads and stuff all mounted. Now that we got the grain head in here, we can pick it up with the combine. We'll pull it in through the door. And then once we pick it up, we can move the cart out of here, just free up some space if we have to crawl under it for whatever reason. And then, yeah, once it's hooked on the combine, we can raise the reel and have a lot better access to the front of the grain head, and we can start throwing the new knife in. If we were to get a different grain head, any size bigger, probably going to be doing this out in the driveway or in the cold storage building. So this has been sitting basically since the first week we got it. It's just been parked here. I think all I did to it was put carpet and stuff in the cab and power washed it a little. So we'll see if the batteries are any good. I don't even remember even looking at the batteries. I'm not sure how old they are. We'll see if it starts. Look at that, still got covers in the seats. Sounds good to me. We did just end up getting Starfire for this. Most of our GPS stuff is Trimble, so that'll be something different, but I'm pretty sure when you're working with green on green, it's a lot more user friendly anyways, so I'm not too worried about it. Got it picked up now, so we should just be able to kind of sneak the card out. Well, that's pretty much it. We'll pull it ahead a little bit. Save up some shop space behind us, at least. Maybe we can get a pickup in. It's to the point where, I don't know, we might have to consider getting a whole new backbone. If that's the case, it's gonna be a lot bigger project because we're gonna have to pull everything off. Everything's gotta come off to put the backbone in. So I'm here in the shop. It's a few days later now. I'm just starting to pick on this thing. Well, normally I would just loosen a lot of these bolts and everything up and maybe take a few sections out, and then I could slide the knife all the way out on this end. I can pull the whole knife out and then I can slide it back in and then just tighten everything back up. This year, and we do this every few years, we are going to be replacing the backbone, which is the metal piece right behind the knife that kind of holds everything together and everything bolts up to. They get kind of bent and warped, rolling over rocks and stuff like that. Kind of get all mangled up, and every so often you got to replace them. So there's going to be a lot more work involved in this. I have to take every skid plate and guard and everything off to put the backbone in. So a lot more work. Rolled this cart over here and just started laying them out. I like to put everything kind of back the way I found it and keep it a little bit organized. So I'll just keep stacking them in as I go along instead of just throwing them on the floor. Ordered some new skid plates for this. This is all messed up, and here that's getting pretty paper thin. And yeah, I have to go pick up the backbone yet. I do have the knife here already sitting on the floor. Electric impact definitely helps speed this up a little bit, but still gonna replace a handful of the guards and kind of pick through. They get pretty wore out. See, this is a newer one, but if you go and look at the one next to it, that one looks pretty wore, and a lot of these are. One solid piece too, where the knife kind of breaks up into, like, I think these are like 10-foot sections, and you kind of just bolt them all together. I have a skid plate that's going to be replaced on this corner here. As you can see, it's got a couple holes in it, and then yeah, we'll pick through a handful of these ones in the center, whatever ones need to be replaced. All right, so I got all the skid plates off, mostly skid plates and guards. The knife's about ready to fall on the floor. There's like one section holding it up on that end, and same over on this end. I just got back from our local John Deere dealer. I picked up the new backbone to put in. So I got the new backbone in. The old one wasn't too bad a shape. Let's say this was the worst end here. It's got a big hump in it. I don't know if we could have salvaged it or not, but not gonna try to now because the new one's already halfway in. Every other section of the rock dam fell off. That was gonna happen no matter what. I did have to take a couple pieces off. It was getting hung up when I was trying to lay it in here. So right here in the middle, I took a handful of these pieces off. Usually if you pull these pieces off, the bolts kind of strip, and they just from sitting on the head for so long. But luckily I was able to pull these 3 pieces off and save them, so I don't have to go get parts, and I can just put them back on. I'm gonna put a handful of the skid plates, guards, back on, and then I'll start sliding the knife in, and then I'll put the rest of them back on. I'm not gonna put a bunch on until I get the new knife in. It'll just be easier to slide it in if I only have a handful to hold it, and then I can do the rest afterwards. So I had the combine running underneath the head here. You see these arms? These are pressurized, and I turned the combine on to turn all the pressure down so I can just pick up the floor, and these are all the way down, and that made it a lot easier because a handful of these, like every other one, was pressurized and holding everything up and making everything really tight. So that's why the combine was turned on. I turned down the pressure on these all the way down to slide in the new backbone. We're slowly getting there. It's starting to come back together now. I also, while everything was all off, I can get under here a little better. I put the new skid plates on each corner. So put this one on. This one was sitting on the shelf for a while. It's got paint on it for some reason. I know why it was sitting on the shelf. This hole doesn't match this one. It's like off an inch for whatever reason. I think that's why we never put this one on, but I already had it half on. You know, I put the top 3 rivets on and I was working my way down, and yeah, this hole does not line up at all, but hopefully it'll last a while. Same with the other end. I got that all put back on. So that was brand new from the store a few days ago. Alright, so we're gonna fast forward here a little bit, and finally got the knife in. All the guards are on. I ended up replacing probably 50%, if not more, of the guards. A lot more wore out than I thought. But yeah, got it all buttoned up here pretty much. There's a couple odds and ends I gotta do yet. There's a couple bolts that are missing, or that I broke or stripped pulling them apart originally. So this one here obviously is missing a bolt, and there's another spot. So don't have any extras here. These are metric, and don't have any metric carriage bolts. And we used to keep a handful of extras on the combine and the toolbox. There's a little box for the machine, but even then that was empty. So gonna have to make it a point to get some extra bolts and have some extras to keep in the toolbox on the combine. My toolbox is just one giant mess right now, but gonna try to mount the iPad bracket yet today. I got this for filming videos, but never really use it too often. I end up using a magnet or something else other than the little suction cup. It can go on any glass here and it'll hold. So I'm gonna use this to hold the iPad inside the combine. I'm not exactly sure how much weight this is rated for. It is on the smaller side, and the plastic doesn't feel that high quality either. But it's just an iPad. I don't think it's gonna have any troubles holding that. We'll try it out, and if that doesn't work, we'll probably end up getting a more heavier duty one of these. The way I mounted the iPad inside the planting tractor, where I just grabbed this a few minutes ago, there's this little ball mount, and it bolts up to the post inside the corner of the cab, and it's really sturdy. Where inside the combine here, the posts are really thin. You can't really bolt anything up to them like you could the older Deeres. They're just a lot thinner and no spots for them. So that's why I'm going the window suction mount. And we'll try that, see if it works. If it doesn't, we'll go back to the drawing board and try to set something else up. So I'm not going to be using this little ball mount here. What I actually have is this little piece I can mount to the suction cup. So this is a piece I just cut. I should be able to just slide this through now instead of it hitting that nut on the other end and bolt it up to the holder. Yeah, I'm not sure about this, guys. It's kind of seems like it's going to be a little too flimsy, which I kind of predicted. But we can try it. Might have to look into getting something else. But yeah, it just seems pretty wobbly. I don't know if I like it. So I got it in here now. Yeah, as I figured, it was gonna be too flimsy, and I don't really like that. I did, however, find a few, there's only like one or two videos where I could kind of tell where people had them mounted, and they do go under the radio. And there probably is like an aftermarket bracket I could buy, but I'll probably just try to end up making one. So yeah, there's a couple bolt holes here, and they just kind of rig up a mount under the radio here. So yeah, this is definitely too flimsy. I don't like this at all. And yeah, that was kind of expected, but I saw it, and it looked quick and easy, and tried it, didn't like it. So back to the drawing board. So I just noticed, because I started looking under here, I was gonna start pulling this apart and putting it down, and somebody's probably done this before, because this was all loose to begin with. So this is a lot better than what I was originally trying to do. However, I don't really care for how close it is to me. Obviously it's easier. I can sit back in the chair and press buttons or whatever, but I don't like how it obstructs the window. It soaks up a lot of space where I kind of want to get sucked in. I mean, there's a lot of space back here. So I kind of want to maybe move this over to this hole here and kind of get this sucked in a little bit tighter, and get the iPad closer to the window. But this is definitely better than what I was originally trying to do. The hardest part was honestly trying to find the right pieces for everything. Obviously I could have probably found something on the internet. I think there's a couple aftermarket companies that make mounts, and I might have even been able to found something through maybe even John Deere, but yeah, I probably have 30 some minutes into this, so it's not that big of a deal. The hardest part was honestly trying to find bolts that would match this to go up in here. We're pretty limited on metric bolts and everything here. We don't really have that big of a bolt bin or anything, especially for metric stuff. So I had a hard time finding some bolts that would match this. I ended up actually cutting a U-bolt and using the two ends on the U-bolt. So I got two jam nuts here, and then I got another nut holding up the radio housing. So that holds that up. I noticed that some of the other brackets, I saw a couple videos online, they had like shims to hold it up and stuff, but yeah, I just got a nut holding it up there, and same goes for the back bolt. And yeah, that worked out pretty good. I did find another ram ball, so that worked out good. I didn't have to steal the one out of that 8130. And then yeah, I'm gonna pull this all back apart. I'm gonna try to mount it and move it over to this hole, see if I can get it back a little bit further before I finish product, and then I will take it all back apart and paint it eventually. All right, so I ended up making a new bracket piece here. That took a little bit of time, just re-drilling the holes and everything, but I did get it. I got it mounted now. It is better than what it was. It's a little bit further away, a little sucked in, a little bit better, and visibility is a little bit better. Ideally, I would have, I never tightened anything up yet, that's why it's loose, but I would have liked it for it to be sucked way back in here by the post here, you know, but I think this is as good as I'm gonna get it, unless I see something else somebody else has, or something store-bought maybe. But I'm pretty sure this is how other people are mounting them, is just under the radio here. So, but yeah, I'm gonna pull this apart and get it painted up and make it look a little bit nicer. If anybody else out there has an S-Series combine, let me know how you mount your iPad, if you have that kind of setup or monitor system. I'd be really interested to know what other people do. So another thing is, where do you mount your CB? I see they ended up drilling some holes in here for a CB radio in the plastic. I don't care for that, but the hole's already there, so I might end up doing that. Ideally, I like my CB radio kind of up here in this corner. That's how we have them in the tractors, or at least the 8000 series Deeres. Even the old combine, the CB radio was kind of like right here. But yeah, like I said, the posts are a lot different in this, and there's no holes to mount anything in here, so that's where the CB might end up going. But another thing is, for the field view, the little puck, I thought you just plugged it into the corner up here, and the plug's a little bit different. There's different holes there than on the back of the puck. But yeah, these holes are a little bit different back here, and they don't match that. So I'm gonna have to see if there's like an adapter or what I gotta do to plug this thing in, because the tractors, you can just plug them in. But I'm gonna pick up my mess that I made the past few days. I still got a bunch of tools out from working on the grain head. That's 90% done. Like I said, I just got a few carriage bolts and stuff I gotta pick up. But it's about 100 degrees inside the cabin here, inside the shop. And yeah, I'm gonna pick up my mess and get out of here. Thanks for watching, and be sure to let me know how you mount your monitor system in the S-Series combine, if you have one. And I'd be really interested if anybody out there has any better ideas. But thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.